Elba, the 100-year-old fish. This story is written by Lara Hawthorne. Elba, the 100-year-old fish. This is a tale about a 100-year-old fish named Alba. She lives on the coral reef and has seen the ocean change in many ways over her lifetime. Alba's story is inspired by a real fish called the rough-eyed rockfish. He was caught off coast of Alaska and lived to the grand old age of 205 years old. There once was a small and quiet town that overlooked a brilliant blue ocean. And beneath the surface of the warm, shallow water, there was a city of coral. Shimmering fish darted and dived, and curious creatures scuttled into hidden places. Amid the hubbub swam a young orange fish called Alba, who lived inside an old spotted shell. Alba collected beautiful objects. "I have an eye for such things," she would say. Every year on her birthday, she found something special. She loved things that were spotty, stripy, and round, bumpy, spiky, and bright, or curvy, swirly, and small. Over the years, she grew and grew, and so did her wonderful collection. But as time went by, Alba found fewer beautiful objects, and more strange, unfriendly things appeared. Alba watched the coral city change, and every year more of her friends left. One year, on Alba's birthday, she realized she had no one to celebrate with. Even though she searched and searched, she couldn't find a single beautiful thing for her collection. Feeling sad, but still determined, she pushed on through the murky water until she was furthest she has ever been from home. Suddenly, she noticed something bright, glowing in the darkness. Elba realized it was a pearl. "How wonderful!" she exclaimed. It was just out of reach, resting on the most unusual shell Alba has ever seen. She squished and squeezed herself in. "Perfect," she beamed, holding tightly to her new treasure. But just then, the curious shell began moving with the ocean current, carrying Alba with it. No amount of wiggling would set her free, and all she could do was drift. Finally, Alba floated towards the surface, where a peculiar new world appeared. Giant creatures moved on the surface of the water, and white lights shone through the darkness. Alba saw hundreds and hundreds of smaller objects too. They looked just like the ones that had littered the reef. She looked across the lights and longed to go home. That night, she dreamt of her old spotty shell nested within the city of coral. The next morning, a little girl was walking along the beach, looking for beautiful objects for her collection. But it wasn't a shiny treasure she found. It was Elba. She looked at the barely moving fish trapped in the bottle. "I'll get you out," she said. Then she looked at the plastic bottles and bags scattered over the beach. This must have come from my town. She realized she had to do something. "I think it's time to tidy up." Elba wiggled in her hands. "Don't worry, I'll put you back in the ocean as soon as it's safe." The whole town worked together to clear up the mess. They cleaned, and bit by bit, piece by piece, the sea started to get a little brighter again. Once the ocean was clean enough for Alba to return, the girl said goodbye and released her back into the water. Alba was excited to go home. What will it be like now? She wondered. And still clutching her precious shell, she went in search of her old spotted shell and her collection of treasures. When she reached her old home, she found that most of the strange objects have gone. It was clean! On Alba's 100th birthday, she celebrated with her friends among a world of coral that was beginning to become bright and busy again. Alba's new addition to her collection dazzled her guests. As they gathered round the pearl, she told them a story, all about a brave little girl who loved to play by a brilliant blue ocean. Did you spot? The coral reef is home to some of the most colorful and unique wildlife in the world. Go back through the book and see if you can spot some of Alba's ocean friends. Spotted moray eel. Rocky surfaces with hidden crevices are the ideal locations for the snake-like creature to hide in. A solitary hunter, the spotted moray eel has poor eyesight, but an excellent sense of smell at a toxic bite. Blue-cheek butterfly fish. A common sight on the coral reef, this striking fish mates with one partner for life, and as such can often be found swimming in a pair. Its tiny snout is perfect for nibbling at coral polypus and eating small worms. Red-spotted coral crabs. Don't be fooled by those brightly colored polka dots. These feisty crustaceans fiercely guard their coral reef homes. Emperor angelfish. This flat-bodied fish feeds on algae and sponges. As it grows into an adult, the patterns on its body becomes a light yellowish green, edged with a brilliant electric blue. Greater blue-ringed octopus. The stunning patterns on this tiny octopus warn predators to stay away. It is highly venomous. It lives in burrows on the ocean floor, which it only leaves at night to search for food. Pink-dored nudibranch. Nudibranches are among some of the most stunning species of sea slug in the world. Their vivid colors and textures have developed to blend in with their coral reef surroundings. Violet-spotted reef lobster. This beautifully patterned reef lobster only grows to about 15 centimeters. It lives in warm tropical oceans near rocky surfaces and comes out to hunt at night. Leafy Sea Dragon. This clever seahorse looks just like seaweed, and it is perfectly suited to kelp forests in which it lives. The male Leafy Sea Dragon looks after the babies, known as fry. Blue sea star. With arms covered in suckers, this starfish creeps among the ocean floor, attaching itself to rocks and coral in hopes of catching a passing meal. Ursilaris clownfish. These little fish can only be found on coral reefs. They live amongst the tentacles of sea animals and have a mucus layer that protects them from the animals' stings. Looking after our oceans. We use plastic nearly every day, and it can be very useful in lots of ways. But what happens to plastic when we throw it away can be harmful to our environment. Plastic isn't biodegradable, which means it won't break down into smaller pieces like the other materials do. It can stick around for hundreds of years. When plastic washes up in the ocean, it can harm animals that live there. Plastic bags can be mistaken for jellyfish, and so they are eaten by whales and turtles, while smaller creatures can choke on plastic straws and ring pull cans can cut or damage fish. There are lots of ways which we can look after our oceans. Here are a few things you can do to help. 1. Use fewer plastic products. 2. Help take care of beaches. 3. Influence change in the community. 4. Reuse and recycle. 5. Never pour harmful chemicals down the drain. This is a wonderfully illustrated story about the effects of pollution and the potential for regeneration.